Go for Broke says over the past 2 games, Eagles D has been on the field for 166 plays, 72 plays against the Chiefs, 92 plays against the Bills. Phillies D has got to be worn out. This also, Damon, is a genius super chat by Go for Broke.
Yes, it is.
This was an angle that I forgot to bring up. Yeah, I was looking at the post-game notes on this thing. Buffalo had the ball for 92 plays in over 42 minutes and produced 505 total yards against this Philly D. Is this Philly D getting worn out? The Fletcher Cox may not go this week. Is this Philly D, does it have the same teeth as it used to have? Nothing lasts forever in the NFL. You know, these games are played by real people, and there's real consequences. But that, to me, I was wondering that as well, looking at the box score at the end of that game. Can the Eagles, with 3 less days to prepare, bounce back? Now, granted, the Niners have to do the west to east travel. They don't. They get to sleep in their beds. But can they bounce back from a 92-play deal against Buffalo? And I didn't realize they had gone 72 against the Chiefs.
And look, last night was set up to be the perfect loss for the Eagles. It's looking at it from a 49ers perspective. Like, you get drug into overtime, and then you get the gut punch, and then it's like, Philadelphia, the town's going to eat itself alive over a loss on Sports Talk Radio this week. And it was so set up. It was so set up. But that is a Go for Broke, an outstanding super chat. And I wrote down that, and we'll be talking about that on my show at 11 o'clock on the Plus for sure, because it's a great observation. It really is.
Great observation. No doubt.
Maybe that's a little – look, maybe the best friend the 49ers got is a little bit of starch taken out of the Eagles based on the quality of their past few opponents and just the grind on their own bodies. Like you said, Kelsey was a little gimpy. Cox might not go. And they've been playing such a savage style of football. A savage style of football that sometimes that comes back and you pay a tax on that with your own body. And
maybe it isn't paid off on Sunday, Damon. It might be a deal where the Eagles run through this gauntlet undeterred and have nothing in the playoffs. I'll say this. I can remember as an older 49er fan, the year that Roger Craig went for 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving. They got to the playoffs. He had nothing left.
Right.
He had nothing left. He had an amazing regular season. But when it got time for the playoffs, he didn't have anything left.
This makes me
wonder.
This is the 73. Yeah, this is the 73 win Warrior theory, right?
Right. And it's not even a theory. It's kind of like these aren't robots. These are people, you know, and maybe the Eagles' year is going to be defined by this gauntlet run that they have in the regular season, but Detroit bumped them in the playoffs, or the Niners bumped them in the playoffs.
One of the cooler things that ever happened on my show was I had a sequence of Olympians that were set up to do some promotional stuff, and it was a lot of track and field, but off-brand track and field. It was cross country. It was just stuff that doesn't get a lot of attention, and that's why we had these people on my show. We had someone who was a fencer from the Bay Area, and they were talking about their Olympic experience. And more than anything else, the one common thread that every single Olympian ended up talking about was how you show up to the Olympics with one tank of gas, and how you burn that tank of gas will determine whether or not you have enough left for the medal rounds. And in football, you know, it's such a winner take all every single week that, yeah, maybe how you have to burn your tank of gas, maybe all of these grinded out close games, maybe this is where the Eagles' point differential of plus 64 affects their postseason more than the 49ers differential of plus 140, because the Niners have had a couple games where they've been able to throw their feet up on the dashboard and hit cruise control, and that's a luxury. The Eagles haven't had that luxury in a lot of their games.
Energy expended.
Exactly. Having enough in your gas tank for the championship round is what every Olympian, especially if they've got, you got to run certain flights to qualify for the medal rounds and all that stuff. And how you run those first races, not at your ears pinned back fastest, will determine whether or not you got enough left when it really comes time to do it. I'll tell you, just the grind of this year. I mean, Larry, the 49ers are sitting at 8-3. So they've played 11 games. They still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They still got 6 football games. There are 6 games left in this season. That's a season within a season.
Oh, I know.
6 games. I mean, there is.
And as a guy who gets a chance to go in the locker room and talk to the players, man, I asked John Feliciano, Big John, the other day. I said, John, how you feeling? This is after the game. And he's like, man, the older I get, at the end of these games, I got to be honest with you, man. I don't feel that great.
Yeah.
I don't feel that great.
There's nothing about this sport that's good for anybody playing it. Nothing.
Right. It's a war of attrition. And the hits are real. You know what I mean? It looks like we're watching it on TV and we're getting another thing of cocoa and making a hot turkey sandwich. These guys are out.
Should have caught that.
I should have caught that. He's soft. He's soft, I say. Honey, can I get some more cider for my mug? He's soft. That Fletcher Cox is soft.
More eggnog.
Can I get a little more gravy on my turkey my warm turkey sandwich is only room temperature, honey, because I took a phone call. Could you put it in the microwave for 15 seconds? Fletcher Cox is soft. I need a little bit more stuffing. I mean,
by the way, pulling off the properly microwaved hot turkey sandwich is one of the hardest things to do in your kitchen, because you let it go 1 second too long, that bread just turns to mush. So that's a very, very tight rope to negotiate. But you're right. I mean, look, fans and I love fans. There is no more
hypocrites.
There's no more widely consumed yet less understood subject in America than the NFL.
Well, and also, I mean, I loved, and I'm sure many of you listening and watching also are with me. We all loved the big hits. We all love it.
Sure.
You ask Niner fans who are of a certain age, who's your favorite Niner? As great as Joe Montana was, there's a lot of guys walking around going, Ronnie Lott. Why do they love Ronnie Lott? Because he detonated on dudes. Because he blew up Ickey Woods. Because Ronnie, in an era of hitting, was the hitter. He was the guy. He would fold you like a cheap suit. He was an unbelievable monster hitter. But let's be honest, that's a guilty pleasure.
And somebody here,
and even guys of yesteryear, we had Ickey Woods on the pregame show before the Bengals game, and I asked him about today's NFL, and Joe Kelly was there as well. We had Low Neal, and we were talking about how the hitting of that era was just absolutely monster, and the players of that era don't apologize for it. They wear it like a badge of honor. But they also know that there's a price. There was a price that their collective bodies paid for that kind of violence. But as fans, we ate it up. But you know what? They're real people. And go to like an East-West Shrine practice or anything where a bunch of old scouts are out there. They're hobbling. Nobody's moving too good. Yeah, I'm doing great. Yeah, I had my hip replaced, and I got 2 artificial knees, and I haven't been able to feel my ankle when it's below 40 degrees for like 15 years, but no, I'm doing great. Wife's doing great. Kids are doing great. I got a grandson, it's like, but they're not doing great. There was a price that was paid for the violence that they played of the era that they played in. And we enjoyed it.